Hi friends, this is Rangakrishna. I would like to take you through the related party transactions, how they happen in India. If you have any doubts, please feel free to reach out to me in the email address as mentioned here. So let's get into the related party transactions. Let me give you a background of related party transaction. So basically related party transaction cars transfer of resources, services or obligations between a company and related party regardless of the price charged. In order to get an understanding of this definition, you need to have an understanding of who is a related party. Related party is defined under the Companies Act as mentioned hereunder. Who are all the related parties? A related party could be a director or any of his relative, key managerial personnel or any of his relative, a firm in which director, manager or relative is a partner, or a public company in which a director or manager is a director and he holds along with his relative more than 2% of the paid up capital of the company, or a private company in which director, manager or his relative is a member or a director, or a body corporate whose board of directors, managing director or manager is required to act in accordance with the advice, directions or instructions of director or a manager. So in order to get a complete understanding about related parties, you need to understand who exactly is a relative. A relative as per the act has been defined as a member of the same Hindu undivided family, husband, wife, it could be father, it could be stepfather, it could be mother, stepmother, son, stepson, son's wife, daughter, daughter's husband, brother, step's brother. So its ambit of relative is so wide that it covers everyone within the purview of relative. For this purpose, even key managerial includes your CEO or a managing director of the company, or a company secretary, whole-time director, chief financial officer, etc. So if you are a key managerial personnel, you have to be utmost cautious while entering into a related party transaction. Then in addition to all of these, there are certain things. In addition to what we have discussed, there are certain other categories of related parties as defined under the Act. Like it includes any person on whose advice, directions or instructions a director or manager is required to act. Then your holding company, your subsidiary or associate of such company, or any company in which subsidiary of a holding company to which it is also a subsidiary. For this purpose, I have given here one example wherein ABC Limited is a holding company. It has got two subsidiaries, EFG, HAJ. So by virtue of this definition, whatever they have mentioned here, both EFG and HAJ would become related parties. Then, what are the categories of related party transactions? There are two categories of related party transactions which normally happen, which happen in the ordinary course of business, which are not in the ordinary course of business. Those happen in the ordinary course of business require approval of audit committee. And the other category of related party transactions which are not in the ordinary course of business would require approval of audit committee, board and shareholders as per the threshold limits mentioned in the next slide. Yeah. Then in addition to that, let's see, before seeing the related party transactions, what are all the threshold limits. You need to have a clear understanding with respect to related party transaction. Like every related party transaction which is material, it has to be compulsorily approved by the shareholders by passing a resolution, and all the related parties shall not be allowed to vote on such resolutions. However, there is one exception for this, wherein this is not applicable to a company in which 90% or more members in number are relatives of promoters or related parties. So basically, if it is a closely held company, this is not applicable. Similarly, details of every contract entered into not on an arm's length. They have used the word not on an arm's length, and material contracts or transactions shall find its reference in the board of directors report along with the justification about the same. So these are the two key important points you need to keep into consideration. while entering into related party transactions. Then, which are all the category of related party transactions which requires shareholders approval? So this is purely shareholders approval. So basically related party transactions which requires shareholders approval via ordinary resolution or following, like sale, purchase or supply of goods or material exceeding 10% or more of the turnover or 100 crore, whichever is less. If it goes beyond this threshold limit, then it has to be compulsorily approved by the shareholders in their duly convened meeting. Similarly, sale or otherwise disposing of or buying of property or any kind exceeding 10% or more of the net worth or 100 crore, whichever is less. If any sale or any disposing of property or any of that sort is happening, then they have to get this approved by a ordinary resolution through shareholders. And if there is any leasing of property of any kind exceeding 10% of net worth or 10% of turnover or 100 crore, whichever is less, is happening, even for this you need to get approval from shareholders. And if you are appointing any agent for the purchase or sale of any goods, materials or services or property exceeding 10% or more of the turnover or 50 crore, whichever is less, in such a scenario you need to get this approved by the shareholders via ordinary resolution. Appointment of any office or place of profit in the company, its subsidiary, associate company, where monthly remuneration paid to that person exceeds 2.5 lakh, then you are obliged to get this approved via ordinary resolution of shareholders. And if there is any underwriting or subscription of any securities or derivatives thereof of the company, when remuneration exceeds 1% of net worth, then it has to be compulsorily approved by the shareholders. So there are other scenarios like transactions not in the ordinary course of business but requires directors approval. These are those like where board of directors have to approve those resolutions, like with respect to sale or purchase of any goods not exceeding 10% of turnover. So this is not exceeding 10% or more of the turnover or 100 crore, whichever is less. And sale or otherwise disposing or buying of any property of any kind not exceeding 10% or more of the net worth or 100 crore, whichever is less. Similarly, if there is any lease of property of any kind is happening not exceeding 10% of net worth or 10% of turnover or 100 crore, whichever is less. Or if you are appointing any agent for the purchase or sale of any goods, materials or services or property which is not exceeding 10% or more of the turnover or 50 crore, whichever is less. Similarly, if any of these related parties getting appointed to any office or place of profit in the company or any of its subsidiary or any of its associate company where the monthly remuneration does not exceed 2.5 lakh, then it has to be pre-approved by the board of directors. And underwriting the subscription of any securities or derivatives thereof of the company, when remuneration does not exceed 1% of net worth, it has to be approved by the board of directors. And I have prepared one important notes with respect to related party transactions which is exclusively applicable for a private company. So before understanding this, you need to understand which are all the exempted entities. So normally exempted entities includes holding company, associate company and subsidiary company to the holding company or a subsidiary of a private company. So basically private companies with exempted entities no longer come under the purview of related party transaction and do not need to comply with the provisions of section 188 which we have discussed. The whole of those contracts or agreements between the private company and exempted entities will need not be approved by the board or shareholders. However, transactions of private company with the following will not be considered as a related party transaction, as we have discussed, like if there is any transaction between holding company of a private company or associate company or a subsidiary company or fellow subsidiary company, all these will not be considered as related party transactions by virtue of the Companies Act. So this is a recent amendment which has happened in the recent past. So for the sake of clarity, other than exempted entities, all key managerial personnel, directors or relatives of private limited company will still continue to come under the scope of related party even though exempted entities have now been excluded. So if there is any transaction which is being done by any of the key managerial personnel, director or relatives of private limited company, they still need to comply the provisions of section 188. Hope everybody understood what I am trying to convey here. Then let's moving ahead. So there is a concept called arm's length price. This is a very important concept which one has to understand, even though I am not stressing this point as of now, but this is very important for understanding purpose in order to determine a related party transaction. Like under Income Tax Act 1961, section 92 subsection F specifically mentions about arm's length price. Arm's length price is a price which is applied or proposed to be applied in a transaction between persons other than associate enterprises in uncontrolled conditions. So there are certain methods to determine arm's length price, which is a comparable uncontrolled price method, resale price method, cost plus method, profit split method, transactional net margin method, and such other method as may be prescribed. So you can adopt any of these methods to determine whether the transaction happened via arm's length price or not. Then moving ahead, so companies, like in case Companies Act, like I have said before, income tax has given methodology for determining arm's length price, but not Companies Act. Companies Act does not specifically mention methodologies and approaches used to determine arm's length price, but audit committee may consider the parameters given in company's policy on transactions with the related parties. So using those methodologies as mentioned under Income Tax Act is one such criteria which they can use. Then moving to the listing regulations. Listing regulations prescribe a threshold limit of 10% of annual consolidated turnover for determining material related party transaction. So if any of the transaction exceeds this 10% of annual consolidated turnover, then that would be considered as material related party transaction, and certain disclosures are required. And where a company enters into any related party transaction without approval, then the company may ratify such transaction within 3 months to avoid penal consequences, and related party transactions shall not be approved via circular resolutions. So these resolutions can't be passed by circulation by the board members. And payment made to related party with respect to the brand usage or royalty becomes a related party transaction if the transaction value entered or to be entered exceeds 2% of the annual consolidated turnover. So section 177 of Companies Act 2013 elucidates that every private company, every public company should have an audit committee provided it meets any of these thresholds, like if it is having a paid up capital of 10 crores or more, or if it is having a turnover of 100 crores or more, or if it is having outstanding loan, debentures and deposits exceeding rupees 50 crores or more. In such a scenario, they have to constitute audit committee compulsorily. However, it can either voluntarily constitute audit committee, which is optional. But if you have constituted audit committee voluntarily, you need to make sure that all the provisions, all the things, all the regulations which are all applicable for audit committee are duly complied. So basically here what I am saying is, following are the unlisted companies which are all exempted from constituting audit committee, which is a wholly owned subsidiary or a joint venture and a dormant company. In case of a company which has not constituted audit committee, the board of directors of such committee shall approve transactions with the related parties as required under the provisions of the Act. Then moving ahead, there is another important concept in related party transactions, which is the omnibus approval with respect to related party transactions. In some of the countries they call this as a blanket approval. So basically, in order to allow more leeway for corporates, the government has allowed omnibus approval of related party transactions by the company's audit committees. So such approvals would be subject to certain conditions, including maximum aggregate value of transactions which can be allowed under this route in a particular year. So audit committee can determine the maximum aggregate value of transactions which can be allowed under this route in a particular year. It's as simple as that. The audit committee is required to decide the maximum value per transaction that can be allowed through the omnibus route, extent of disclosures that need to be made at the time of seeking approval. Then omnibus approval shall be valid for a period not exceeding 1 financial year, and shall require fresh approval after the expiry of such financial year. And approvals through omnibus route would not be allowed for transactions with respect to selling or disposing of undertaking. This has to be kept in your mind when articulating omnibus approval. You need to have a thorough understanding which are all the transactions allowed under this route and take the steps accordingly. Then, where the need for related party transactions cannot be foreseen, then the audit committee can allow omnibus approval provided the value of transaction each does not exceed rupees 1 crore. And while giving omnibus approval, audit committee shall take into account repetitiveness of transactions in the past or in future, and justification for the need of omnibus approval is to be considered. So I have gone through lot many provisions governing this related party transactions. I felt that there is no exhaustive presentation around which throws clarity to the students with respect to related, because I have seen that there is a lot of confusion, lot of amendments which have come. So I tried to put all the amendments in this presentation. If you have any doubts, please feel free to reach me anytime. Thank you very much for all your time, support. Take care. Bye.